I prep people for a living, and I've been doing it for a while now. And me and Bostin were talking. You know, he prepped people for a while, and I know he doesn't really like to prep people anymore for this reason, especially like females. So when it comes to female, I say honestly, like 19 out of 20 girls. You know, it's like stubborn. Right, 95% of girls their bodies are stubborn, and it takes, you know, there's a social media trend these days where people like to think that, you know, oh, you know, you're dieting too hard, or you're doing too much cardio, you're going to ruin your metabolism. And the truth is almost every girl requires, you know, 2 hours of cardio a day, and sometimes going no carb, and even going no fat at the end. And it's not healthy, but you know, it's contest prep, and it's you know, I don't like to do it. I don't like to put a girl on thyroid meds or, you know, high doses of clen. But you know, if they want to win, or if they want to get in contest shape, it's just the ugly truth.
And then it looks bad as you and a coach when you take them on and they're not in shape.
Right. So you know, it's a, you know, win-lose situation. So yeah, they'll be in shape. But yeah, I mean, a lot of times they do have to take a lot of shit, and you have to push them, and it's like, oh, my coach has me doing 2 hours of cardio, and they're like,
and then their coaches are like,
yeah,
oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. He should come to me.
Right.
And it's always a mind fuck, because the worst part about bodybuilding is people. It's rare that one single competitor just gets one opinion. They're all, even though they have a coach. I have people that hit me up that have coaches every day.
Yeah.
That'll be like, hey man, what do you think about this? Or hey, my coach has me doing this. And it's like, even though I don't agree with it, it's sometimes I just have to bite my tongue, because it's like, listen, man, you paid this guy, give him your all, follow everything to a T, and if you don't like the way it came out, then hire someone else. But don't just like pick some of what he says and then some of what he says, and then if you look like shit, blame your coach, because listen, you obviously didn't listen to the whole plan. But
yeah, because there's, you know, like a million ways to prep someone. There's
million, literally.
So, I mean, what Boston does with someone, I probably don't do. You know, like there's probably,
and everyone has different theories. Like Dave is a keto, you know, and then you guys got low fat guys, and then you guys got, you know, guys like Farrah that are literally like no added fat with carbs, and you have to. The individual's going to find out when they use different, and that's why I do feel like chicks or males should try different coaches, because they should try a guy that's like higher fat, and then they should also try somebody who's low fat, because they could have a prep that's miserable, and then try something new, and it's like a breeze. So I feel like that, you know, I feel like it's always good to switch it up.
You know, and then when you're, there are some, granted, I'm sure there's going to be a female listener, and they're like, oh, I only did 20 minutes of cardio. There are instances where a girl is gifted enough to do a very low amount of cardio, but it's very rare. I can tell you, I've prepped hundreds and hundreds of girls already, and it's very, very rare. And if you're one of those girls, then you consider yourself lucky, because the normality is that you're going to have to do a lot of cardio, and you're going to have to take your calories to, I guess, like a dangerous level. Not dangerous, but
I went to dangerous. But this is what the other thing, and I know you'll agree with me. There's a couple coaches out there that do care about their image a lot and make sure their clients don't show up fat on stage. We talked about them. I'm not going to mention their names. And they will starve someone down with a lot of T3 and a lot of clen and a lot of cardio, and they will look amazing. And then they'll go after the show, and because they were so depleted, they'll eat a ton of food, and they'll get fat, and they'll always blame their coach. You can't blame the coach. You have to have self-control. If you hired him to diet you down and get you in shape, and you blow it all, because you could literally, especially a female hormonally, post-show they want to store fat when they've been that lean. Store fat and store water. So when they go off their diet, it's like boom, it just, you know, they'll put on all this fat and water like instantly, and they'll turn into buffaloes, and then they'll blame their coach, oh, metabolic damage, damage.
Exactly.
And to me, the metabolic damage, if there was any kind of damage done, was caused by the person from either not tapering down on the clen, their thyroid meds, and then just eating a shit ton of food. You can't go from one to extreme to another. It's like going from a bodybuilder to like a hot dog eating contest. You can't go from one extreme to the other and then blame your coach. And we know the coaches that don't care. They care more about their image, which is fine, because they want to have their clients in shape. But then they get blamed, and you hear horror stories all the time.
Like anytime a girl, like when I first started, I was like, man, all these coaches, like they're like ruining these clients' metabolisms. But he's right. Like, you know, I believe it's like actually pretty hard to ruin someone's metabolism. It's always the reverse diet that ruins someone's metabolism. So you know, after a show, that's when your leptin's the highest, and your leptin's going to tell your body, I'm hungry, eat more, because it wants to get fat.
It does. It wants to. Our bodies want to store fat.
Right. So post show, if you're on thyroid meds, you're on Clen, you're on Novadex, you know, if you're a female, and then you don't wing off, and then you start eating, you know, girls are way more sensitive. They can't. Some guys can come in a reverse show, add a ton of food, and look great. Girls, they have to slowly do it, and they have to taper off. So anytime a girl says, my coach ruined my metabolism, it's like in one ear out the other, because I'm like, I highly doubt it. You know,
and a lot of people too. This is the crazy thing, is a lot of people will, you know, eat all that food, and they don't realize that it's just like what they're doing to their body is they're just completely fucking everything they just worked 16 weeks for.
Right.
You could lose everything you work for in 16 weeks. You could lose it in a few weeks. You could lose your fast metabolism. You could lose everything. But a lot of it is, I think a lot of these chicks, they care about social media. And they'll put everything into it because they want to post these progress photos, and then they get ready, and everyone's hyping them up. Oh, you're going to kill it. You're going to do great. This and that. They get to the show, but a lot of these chicks, like I said, they do it for attention so they can post on Instagram videos. They get on stage, they lose, and they want nothing to do with bodybuilding after.
They want to badmouth it.
For at least 4 weeks, they don't want anything to do with bodybuilding. They'll eventually get back into it when they lose followers and they want the attention. They'll get back into it, but they'll go crazy. And they won't taper off anything. They won't even talk to their coach. They'll be so pissed they lost. They just cold turkey everything and just, you know, start eating again. Like, fuck, I didn't win, so fuck it. And I feel like that's the biggest problem, because if you truly like this as a lifestyle and you want to actually be, you know, do this for a while, you can't be doing that, because this is like a long-term thing. This is like a patience game. I mean, look at me. Like, when I was young, I pumped a ton of drugs in my body. I responded very well in the beginning. I don't even respond now to anything. So it's like, you want to take it slow. You want to take I think you want to take as little as possible until you know, hit a plateau, and then start making changes. Because if you're growing and you're making progress, I don't feel like you should be changing anything.
Right. And, you know, like you said, post show, it's also like an Instagram trend right now to, like, you know, post your food, post show, and like, it's okay. Like, I tell people, like, Saturday night, enjoy a meal. Sunday morning, enjoy a meal. But
and that won't affect them. That won't even affect them.
Right. But why diet for 16 to 20 weeks, put yourself through hell, and completely ruin, you know, your body, you know, just to get a taste of food, or just to get a picture or video of you, like, eating that cookie, you know, like,
exactly.
That you can.
And like you said, 1 or 2 meals. If you go out and you have Saturday night, and you have a few meals Sunday, and Monday you get back on your AM cardio and flush the water out, and you get back on track, there's no damage done. But it's continuous. It's just like, look, the worst part of prep, right, is that first 2 weeks. You're like, I look worse. I'm in that soft and spongy phase. You're like, oh my God, because it takes a while for a diet to work. And if you keep doing the same thing over and over, you'll get better and better and better. Same thing with food. You keep eating worse and worse, you're going to keep getting worse and worse and worse and worse. So I feel like there's, you know, people, if they really, the main problem with this is a lot of people don't do it because they like it. They do it for the attention, and then they balloon up. But I don't know. Do you think it, like, this is a good question, like, because you prep a lot of females. Do you think it's worth it for a chick with bad genetics that can't get lean, that needs all that stuff, works a 9 to 5, has kids, places horribly? Let's say she's a workhorse though, and she gets her pro card. She makes it to the pros, but literally that's all genetic elite, and she just gets, this chick's working harder than everyone. She's dieting harder, never missing meals, drained. It's taking a toll on her relationships, her relationship with her kids, her husband, and she's taking all these drugs, cardio twice a day. Is it worth it?
No, I mean, you're not getting paid.
No, you're not.
I mean, it'd be different if, like, you know, they're like, hey, $25,000 to the pro show winner. You know, it's $25,000, but
and that's
like,
for the first place person, and then second place. So if you're placing last and you're doing all this, and then you're affecting your relationship at home, but you're not even making money doing it, I feel like you should step back, make it a lifestyle and a hobby, where people will compliment you in the gym though, because you know, you still have that work ethic, you stand out, you still feel good about yourself, you look good, you feel good, but you're not getting those last place finishes that are like, oh fuck, like, it makes you feel like unaccomplished. And I feel like that's where I was a little bit, and that's where I am. This like, well, okay, if I can compete, it's a good goal. I think the best thing about competing is knowing you're on stage with other competition, and you're gonna be in front of an audience, and you're gonna have pictures taken of you, and you wanna be at your best. So where if you're not training for a show, you may do a cheat meal here and there. Oh, I'm not training for anything, so let me do a cheat here and there. You know you're getting on stage, so everything's gonna be full blown. So that's what I love about competing, is it's gonna make you your best. But you know, after that, it's like, when you hit that level where you just can't get any better, are you going to keep putting your body through that if you're not getting paid and just make it live like?
I mean, I tell people, like, people don't believe me, but if it came down to it, and I, you know, like, let's say I win USA's one day.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know if I would take my pro card, because it's awesome. Yeah, you won USA's, but I'll never be a competitive pro ever.
Yeah.
So, you know,
or guys that turn pro and masters.
Why try to kill myself and with, you know, like enhancements and spend all this money when I know I'm never going to win, you know, a pro show, and I can just have fun and push my body.
And you're OCD like me, so you would take it to that level of doing everything you could to do good. And this sport isn't healthy. I don't care how many health steps you take or what you take into consideration and what you do. You can make it a lot healthier, but to say it's healthy, that's like a long shot. Right. We know what we're doing to our bodies. You know, we already know are the potential risks. I mean, you have to be really naive to not know. I mean, but you know, people die obviously in the industry very young. It's very sad, but obviously people die young at any age, you know, young ages that are not involved in bodybuilding that are perfectly healthy. Right. So I think it's a combo of the lifestyle with bad genetics, with like heart conditions or whatever it is. And I think it's just a combination of everything, because there's some guys that have good genetics for, you know, and they just don't get really toxic and they're fine. You know, their hearts don't get enlarged and shit like that.
Yeah, you know, like a guy that has subpar genetics and he knows he's going to have to push the drugs hard to be competitive at like, you know, nationals or something. Well, you know, he could take all these. I take health steps, you know, but at the end of the day, I know that the bodybuilding, the risk is always there. Like, there's always, you know, what we do isn't healthy. You can put it any way. You can take any health steps you want, but you know.
Especially in prep, like blood work, like they're not gonna completely correct blood work.
Right, exactly. So, you know, it's almost like putting a Band-Aid on it. It's like, you might help you a few percent, but you know, at the end of the day, you're not doing, you know, you're doing unhealthy stuff, and so you got to ask yourself, is it worth it to you? You know, if you're gonna, you know, are you chasing a pro card?
I'd like to see studies on actually like a person that eats like McDonald's and gets obese, like real fat, versus a bodybuilder who's always in great shape but taking a bunch of enhancements, and compare blood work. I'd like to see who's healthier.
Honestly, I bet the McDonald's eater would be healthier, man.
I would be curious. I would be curious to know.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
If they did that. But yeah, so and the thing with him prepping people, I want to go over quickly why I don't prep people. And I'll prep a person if they've been loyal to me for over a year or whatever, and like, you know, or even actually because I like to learn the body. First of all, I'm not going to take money from somebody where I know I can't do my job properly. If I don't know their body, like I'm not going to just take, guys not going to hit me up and I'm be like, all right, I'm going to prep you not knowing anything about this guy. But if a guy's been with me a while, I've worked with him in Austin, I know how his metabolism is, I know this and that, and I know he could do it without doing hours and hours of cardio. Like I had a client recently he was just, we're doing a recomp, and all of a sudden he's like, hey man, there's a show in 4 weeks in my town, you think we can do it? I said, you know what man, you've been a loyal client, you're 4 weeks out, I can get you in shape, let's do it. But then there's other people that I have worked with, and and it's hard because I don't want to push 2 to 3 hours of cardio. I don't want to do hour cardio 3 times a day or hour cardio twice a day. I don't mind doing that myself. I don't work a 9 to 5, but like for me to tell somebody who's working a job that has a family, like, all right, you got to wake up, do an hour cardio, eat breakfast, go to work, you know, at your lunch break, do another hour cardio, come back, you know, pack all these meals, then go train for an hour and a half after you train. And then before bed, let's do another hour cardio. And then on top of that, tell them to take a ton of Clen and T3. And it's like you said, you want to do the least amount possible to get the results. So I think if it's doing a prep the right way, it's better. You're better start, especially for a female. You're better starting farther out, so you can make minor changes if needed. When if they're dropping weight, then you don't need to up anything. But once they hit that plateau, which females usually do, they'll progress for a certain amount of time, and then they'll hit that wall where you're like, all right, I could take you from 70% now to 100, but it's going to be a lot fucking harder to get that extra fat off you. And I can't do. I personally can't do it. And I have one female client now, and I told her, I said, maybe we'll push the show back or whatever it is. I will not put somebody on a crazy amount of cardio because I know what it does. Because you're not getting paid. If you're getting paid and you're doing it for a living, I would be like, do it all. Right. But you're not. So it's hard for me to justify making someone's life miserable. Right. If they don't have.
It's funny you say it because, I've prepped so many people at this point, and once you start prepping people, like a lot of them, you know, some of them do become your friends, and you know a lot about their life. And I've seen, I can't even tell you how many like divorces.
Oh,
like
it's horrible.
through prep, and I wish I was lying, but I really think like you said, you know, you wake up, you do your hour of cardio, you go to work 9 to 5, you come home, you get ready, you go to the gym, you do your hour of cardio, you come back. So where's time for your significant other, your kids? So
Yeah.
you're right.
And some of these guys are dads too, and I
Yeah.
see it all the time, and I'm like, because I'm a dad now, and I have a kid, and you know, even though Ariella does all, you know, she's amazing, she does it all, but still being a dad, it's like, you don't want to be in a bad mood around your kid.
Right.
Like, you don't want to be aggravated.
Yeah.
You don't want to be unsocial, because like we talked about, even like certain drugs like Tren will make you, you know, turn into a zombie almost,
Right.
like non-feeling, where you just don't care. You know, you'll walk past your pride kid and just won't, you know what I mean? Where instead of you're not in a good mood. So a lot of that just affects everything. Like you said, there's so, I mean, on Instagram, I mean, Ariel, I think it's every week we're like, I said, babe, guess who just broke up?
Yeah.
Said, who? Oh. And then next week, and you know, it happens all the time, and it's really sad. And a lot of it, obviously, it's died in mood and stuff like that, but a lot of it's attention seeking too.
Right.
If they're not getting attention from them, they'll go somewhere else to go to an expo. I think you should always include your significant other in majority of things. Obviously, you can't include them in everything you do, but I mean, I think if it's a, you know, meeting with other females, you know what I mean, and you want a solid relationship. But I mean, that's why there's a lot of stuff that goes down in any industry, whether it's acting, you know, it's all the same. But yeah, those were all good points. I mean, if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. So I think social media has just like, it's helped the sport, but it's like, it's really hurt the sport too, because, you know, it's like,
It's helped it for us because we wouldn't be able to make a living without it.
right. But at the same time, it's like, everyone thinks they can compete now.
And be a coach. And be a coach.
Exactly, and be a coach. It's like, I see people all the time, and I wish I could, you know, I'm not very outspoken on Instagram like you, because like, but I'll see people that are like, now offering coaching services, and I'm like really?
The worst is when they're like, spots filling up, hire me now, and you know that they have zero clients. They're just, they want to make they like seem like they're worth something, so people Instagram, only one spot left if you want, and it's like,
which reminds me, so I go over this I've went over this on Instagram video before, but when you're searching for a coach, I feel like the number one thing to look at is don't look at their genetically gifted athletes that they get in shape, because my dog could get, you know, some of these guys, my dog could get Phil Heath in shape, you know, so you look at someone who you go back and look at the pictures, they're not genetically gifted, and they bring them in and they build them up, and now like all of a sudden they're a good bodybuilder. You know, and
they've stayed loyal to that guy for a couple years.
Exactly. So that's
There's a lot of these guys that are at the level that are posting how many pro cards they have. Like, you know, like guys like, oh, you know, like we know who they are. Post about how many pro cards they have. Yeah, but you've had someone else that's low level work with them until they get to that level, and they're already at that tipping point.
You know,
they may just need like a diazide, or they may need some water manipulation towards the very end, and they may need some political pull, or they may need some social media recognition. Right. So they'll go from this coach who brought them all the way, right? Yeah. And then they'll hire someone else to give them that diazide and, you know, drop their water and do a little swipe tweaks, get a pro card. There's another pro card added. You know,
that's a big thing to me, is if someone brings you up and you're doing great with them, and then like now you're like, oh, I'm a pro, I got to hire like that next level coach. Yeah. Like,
it makes no sense.
Number one, it makes no sense for one. Number two, chances are you're probably not going to get the attention that you were getting. So, I mean, I always say, if it's not broke, don't try to fix it.
The guys that are taking an abundance of clients are the people that you should probably stay away from, like the mainstream guys, and because what they're going to do is they're going to pay attention to their potential, and they're guys that are pros, and you'll be left in the dust, just another paycheck for them. And I think people should work with guys more like you that don't have a crazy abundance of clients, but you work with multiple people and gather knowledge from a lot of different people and can apply it to them. Because I feel like when people just hire these coaches that take on too much, what do they get? Copy and paste. And you know, and they may make like minor changes, but I feel like, I know you are the same way with me, is you know every client's story, you know every client by name, you know everything, you actually know them on a personal level. And I feel like that's how coaching should be. It shouldn't be like, all right, here's a plan, oh, this and that, you know, it shouldn't be like that. And it's especially to charge a lot of money for plans like that.
Right. Yeah, and then you got, I mean, there's coaches that are like, you know, when I was coach searching, you know, I've coach searched before, and that's the thing I always look at. I'm like, this person they have great clients and they have amazing looking pros, but are they going to give me the attention that I need? You know, I don't want someone just getting my email, lowers carbs, ups cardio, there you go.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Or, you're not responding, more T3, more cardio,
Yeah.
and let's take another carb day away.
Right.
Instead of saying, let me pull this fast for a day, and let me add a cup of rice to each meal, and let me manipulate the food a little bit and get a little spark out of the
And then
metabolism.
so send me pictures tomorrow or the next day, or a coach should be, you know, a high profile coach is going to be like, all right, I'll see you next week, you know.
Yeah.
So,
And that's why I respect a guy like Aceto as far as the coaching wise,
Right.
because even though me and you couldn't handle a prep like with changing foods every day, I mean, he takes a decent amount of top level guys, and even though and that's another guy, he's never probably brought someone up from nothing to something. He's probably never brought any local guy and worked with him because he only takes on people that are already at the top and have that potential to peak at that top level. So I don't think, you know, Aceto even will work with somebody who's like, you know, not on that pro radar. But when he does take someone, he's serious about it. You know, he could take everyone. If let's say if Aceto said, I'm going to take on everyone, he could take on everyone and his work would go to shit. But he takes select few people and he makes changes every day or every other day or whatever he feels needed with the nutrition. So I know he's a guy that's super low drug, low T3, low thyroid, like low clen, because he's willing to really involve himself and make those changes like you are. So people need to start focusing on hiring coaches like that and not like, oh, he has 89 pro cards or 100 pro cards.
Right.
Oh shit.
Or 150,000 Instagram followers.
Yeah, exactly. And people could buy followers, so you don't even know what's real and what's fake anymore.